Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters in Christ, today I want to talk about something urgent, something eternal. We are living in a time when distractions are louder than truth, when temptation is dressed up to look like freedom, and when the enemy prowls like a roaring lion, waiting for one slip, one stumble, one compromise. But I declare to you today, you are not here by accident. You are chosen, handpicked by the living God for such a time as this. And because you are chosen, your calling is not casual, your walk is not ordinary, your focus cannot be broken. If the enemy can't destroy you, he will try to distract you. If he can't stop your destiny, he will try to weaken your focus. That's why today I am here to tell you, hold your ground, guard your eyes, steady your steps, because chosen ones cannot afford to fall. Chosen ones, if this message has spoken to your spirit, don't let it end here. Stay connected, stay ignited, follow this channel so you never miss a word of encouragement. Subscribe, because every step of your journey needs fuel from the word and reminders of who you are in Christ. If you are declaring today, I will stay focused, I will not fall, I am chosen, then drop op 99 in the comments as a sign of your commitment, as a declaration of strength, and as a reminder that you are part of the flock that will not be left behind. Remember this, focus is power, discipline is victory, and staying faithful is the path to destiny. Being chosen is not a light matter. It is not a title to be worn casually or a name to be carried without weight. To be chosen means to be set apart, be marked by God for a purpose that is greater than yourself. It means your life is not ordinary, your steps are not random, and your days are not meaningless. Every chosen one carries within them a divine responsibility that cannot be ignored. When heaven calls you chosen, it is not to elevate your pride, but to awaken your purpose. You are separated from the common path because your destiny cannot be fulfilled on the common road. You are called to walk differently, to think differently, and to live differently, because what rests upon you is holy. Responsibility means that you cannot live as everyone else lives. The chosen ones cannot indulge in everything the world offers, cannot entertain every distraction, cannot compromise with every temptation. They bear the weight of example, the responsibility of testimony. People may never open a Bible, but they will read your life. They may never hear a sermon. They will see how you stand, how you endure, how you resist. To be chosen is to live as a light in a world that loves darkness, and that requires a constant awareness that your decisions do not belong only to you. The impact of your obedience or disobedience can ripple into the lives of many others who are watching, following, or drawing strength from your walk. This responsibility is not a burden meant to crush you, but a mantle meant to shape you. God entrusts responsibility only to those he sees as capable of carrying it. That means if you are chosen, heaven already knows what you can handle. Heaven already knows what fire you can walk through, what storms you can survive, what temptations you can overcome. You are not chosen because you are weak. You are chosen because God saw in you the potential to carry his light without letting it be extinguished by the winds of the world. That responsibility becomes a reminder every morning you wake up that your steps must be ordered, your words must carry life, and your actions must reflect the one who set you apart. Carrying divine responsibility means understanding that your battles are bigger than you, but so are your victories. The enemy fights chosen ones harder because they pose a greater threat to his kingdom. Storms rage stronger, the temptations appear sharper, the distractions grow louder, because the chosen are destined to bring change, to spark revival, to break chains, to shift atmospheres. If you were ordinary, the enemy would not bother you, but because you are chosen, your very existence threatens his plan. That is why you cannot afford to treat your responsibility lightly. It is the covering of God over your life. It is the reason why doors open when others remain shut. It is the reason why attacks rise, yet you are still standing. It is the reason why, despite your flaws, Heaven has not revoked your calling. Responsibility is the proof of your chosenness. Distraction is the enemy's greatest weapon because it does not always come dressed as evil. It often comes disguised as harmless, as appealing, as something small and insignificant. The enemy knows that if he cannot destroy you, he will divert you. He knows that the most effective way to weaken the chosen ones is not always through direct attack, but through a slow pull of attention, a gradual shift of focus, a gentle drift away from the purpose of God. Distraction is powerful because it steals time, it drains energy, it clouds vision, and it robs destiny without you even realizing what has been taken. When distraction enters, it makes the urgent replace the important, the temporary replace the eternal, and the noise of the world drown out the voice of God. The chosen cannot afford to be careless with focus because the enemy's strategy is not to make you deny your calling outright, but to make you forget it moment by moment. He does not always need you to sin boldly. He only needs you to waste time, entertain trivial things, to give your energy to pursuits that bear no fruit. He distracts you with comparison, scrolling endlessly through the lives of others while neglecting your own assignment. He distracts you with worry, causing you to meditate more on your problems than on God's promises. He distracts you with pleasure, offering temporary comfort at the cost of long-term purpose. Distraction weakens because it divides the mind. A divided mind cannot walk in power, cannot walk in authority, cannot walk in clarity. When you are chosen, your vision must be sharp, your direction must be straight, and your heart must be undivided. Every distraction tolerated is focus surrendered. Every moment given to the unnecessary is a step lost on the path of destiny. Chosen ones must guard their attention as carefully as their faith, for attention determines direction, and direction determines destiny. The enemy knows that distraction is easier than destruction and far more effective. If he can simply keep you busy with the wrong battles, you will never have time to fight the right ones. If he can keep your mind restless, your spirit will never find stillness. If he can keep your hands full of things that do not matter, they will never be free to build what does matter. That is why distraction is his greatest weapon. It does not demand your rebellion. It only requires your negligence. You do not have to choose darkness. You only have to stop choosing light consistently. Chosen ones cannot allow themselves to drift into distraction, for distraction is not neutral. It is intentional. It is targeted. It is designed. It is the enemy's silent chain wrapped around minds that thought they were still free. Every great fall began with a small distraction. Every broken calling started with divided focus. Every lost destiny was first delayed by something that looked harmless but was deadly to purpose. Distraction remains the subtle weapon that removes power from the chosen without them even noticing what they lost. Focus preserves destiny because it is the force that keeps the chosen one aligned with the path that God has designed. Without focus, even the greatest calling can be wasted. Even the brightest light can be dimmed. Even the strongest warrior can be disarmed. Focus is the ability to hold your eyes on what matters most, resist the pull of everything that seeks to drag you away from your assignment. It is not just concentration of the mind. It is discipline of the spirit, a determination of the heart, and a guarding of the soul. Focus creates clarity, and clarity produces direction, and direction leads to destiny. The enemy knows the power of focus, and that is why he wages war against it. He knows that if you remain focused, nothing can stop you. He knows that a chosen one who refuses to be distracted is unstoppable because heaven backs the one who is aligned with divine purpose. Focus is what gives strength to endure. It is what fuels persistence when storms rise. It is what carries you through the valleys when discouragement whispers. Many have been called. They lose their way not because the call was weak, but because their focus was broken. When focus is lost, destiny is delayed. When focus is abandoned, purpose is forfeited. To preserve destiny means to guard what God has entrusted to you with vigilance. Every chosen one has an assignment. The enemy will always attempt to substitute the eternal assignment with temporary distractions. Focus is the shield against that exchange. It allows you to see the difference between what looks urgent and what is truly important. It empowers you to say no to what drains you and yes to what builds you. It trains your spirit to recognize when the enemy is offering you counterfeit paths that appear easier but lead nowhere. Focus makes you unmoved by applause and unshaken by criticism, because you understand that neither approval nor rejection should divert you from the mission that heaven placed on your life. Focus is not automatic, it is intentional. It requires discipline to wake up each day with your eyes fixed on the prize. It requires strength to walk past shortcuts that would compromise your integrity. It requires sacrifice to choose long-term purpose over short-term pleasure. But every act of focus becomes an investment in destiny. Every time you choose to guard your time, your thoughts, your energy, you are preserving the treasure of your calling. Focus is what keeps the flame of your anointing burning when the winds of life try to blow it out. Destiny is fragile without focus because purpose requires consistency. A moment of focus can achieve what years of distraction cannot. The chosen cannot afford to live scattered because scattered energy produces scattered results. But focused energy produces breakthrough, transformation, and legacy. Focus preserves destiny by keeping the chosen aligned, sharp, and unstoppable, no matter what battles come against them. One fall can cost everything because when you are chosen, the weight of your calling is greater and the consequences of failure are heavier. The higher the assignment, the greater the responsibility and the more severe the damage when it is neglected. For the ordinary, a fall may only affect their own lives, but for the chosen, a fall can shake families, communities, even generations. A single compromise can unravel years of progress. A single moment of weakness can destroy testimonies built over decades. A single stumble can open the door for the enemy to mock the very God you represent. This is why the chosen must walk with caution, not in fear, but in reverence, understanding that every step carries weight, every choice carries consequences, and every action has ripples far beyond themselves. Falling does not always begin with great sins or public failures. It often starts in silence, in the heart, in the secret compromises that seem small. A thought entertained, a temptation embraced, a boundary ignored. One fall is rarely sudden. It is the result of many small steps away from focus, many moments of letting the guard down, many decisions to overlook what seemed minor. But when the chosen fall, the impact is never minor. It breaks trust. It silences influence. It brings shame to the name they carry. And it can leave scars that last a lifetime. The enemy celebrates most when the chosen fall because their fall is not just personal, it is strategic. It weakens the faith of others who once looked to them for strength. The cost of a fall is not only in reputation, but in destiny. Some opportunities never return once they are lost. Doors that were opened by obedience close permanently when dishonor enters. Some platforms built through faithfulness are taken away in an instant of weakness. The chosen cannot afford to live as though grace is a license to play with temptation. Grace is real, forgiveness is real, but consequences are also real, and some losses cannot be recovered. One fall can place a permanent mark on a life that was destined for greatness, not because God withdrew the calling, but because the chosen one surrendered the trust that calling required. When you are chosen, your fall is not only about you, it is about the lives attached to your obedience. There are people waiting on your example, souls assigned to your influence, destinies connected to your faithfulness. If you fall, some of them may stumble as well because they drew strength from your walk. This is why vigilance is not optional for the chosen, it is essential. Carry a high calling is to walk with the awareness that your misstep could be the stumbling block for others. One fall has the power to silence voices that were meant to echo truth, cripple leaders who were meant to build, to corrupt movements that were meant to shine light in darkness. The chosen must guard their path fiercely, because the higher you rise, the harder you fall, and the greater the destruction when it happens. What may look like a moment of weakness can erase decades of labor. What may feel like a private failure can become a public downfall. One fall can cost everything, and that reality is why chosen ones must stay focused, disciplined, and relentless in guarding the calling that has been entrusted to them. Discipline is the shield of the chosen, because without discipline, calling becomes vulnerable, focus becomes fragile, and destiny becomes exposed to the attacks of the enemy. Discipline is the invisible armor that guards your walk, the unseen wall that protects your mind, and the steady hand that keeps your spirit from drifting. It is not enough to be gifted. It is not enough to be anointed. It is not enough to be chosen. Without discipline, those treasures can be wasted. Discipline is what transforms potential into reality, what converts calling into impact, what preserves the anointing from being corrupted by flesh. For the chosen ones, discipline is not optional. It is the foundation of survival. It is the ability to say no when temptation whispers, strength to keep moving when discouragement presses, the wisdom to stay quiet when anger rises, and the humility to keep learning when pride tries to take over. Discipline is the daily decision to align your actions with your purpose, regardless of how you feel in the moment. Feelings shift, emotions change, circumstances fluctuate, but discipline holds the line, keeping you anchored to what matters. Without discipline, chosen ones fall prey to inconsistency, and inconsistency is the slow death of destiny. Discipline is also the shield because it resists the enemy's schemes. The adversary thrives on weakness, and he searches for cracks in the armor. Lack of discipline creates those cracks. The one who cannot control their appetite becomes enslaved by it. The one who cannot guard their words wounds others and destroys their witness. One who cannot manage their time wastes it on distractions and loses momentum. But the disciplined person closes those doors, leaving no opening for the enemy to exploit. The chosen who walks in discipline may be attacked, but they are not easily defeated because their shield is strong. Every great achievement of the chosen rests on discipline. Prayer requires discipline. Fasting requires discipline. Study of the word requires discipline. Walking in integrity requires discipline. These practices are not sustained by passion alone, because passion burns hot for a season and then fades. Discipline is the force that keeps the fire burning when passion cools, that keeps you moving forward when motivation is gone, that keeps you faithful when everything around you calls you to give up. The chosen who lacks discipline may start strong, but will not finish, while the one who walks in discipline may struggle. They will endure. Discipline is not about denying freedom. It is about protecting purpose. It trains you to master your impulses rather than being mastered by them. It builds resilience so that you can endure seasons of waiting, hardship, and silence without losing faith. It builds character so that when blessings come, you are prepared to handle them without being destroyed by pride. It builds consistency so that every day of obedience adds up into a lifetime of impact. Discipline is the shield of the chosen because it is the very thing that stands between destiny fulfilled and destiny wasted. It is the mark of those who are not only called, but who endure to the end, proving faithful with what God has entrusted to them. Faithfulness leads to victory because it is the quality that proves the strength of a chosen one's walk with God. Faithfulness is not about doing something great once, but about remaining steadfast day after day through trials, through silence, through storms, and through seasons of waiting. It is the quiet consistency that turns ordinary actions into extraordinary impact, the steady obedience that builds a legacy brick by brick. Victory does not always come to the most talented, The most powerful or the most visible, it comes to the faithful, to those who do not quit when the path gets hard, to those who continue to trust when answers do not appear, to those who hold their ground when everything in them wants to run. Faithfulness is the secret weapon of the chosen because it outlasts the schemes of the enemy. The adversary thrives on discouragement, knowing that many begin strong, but few finish. He uses delay to break spirits, suffering to weaken resolve, and temptation to pull hearts away. But when a chosen one chooses faithfulness, every weapon loses its power. Delay cannot destroy them because they wait with patience. Suffering cannot break them because they endure with hope. Temptation cannot steal them because they stand firm in devotion. Faithfulness becomes the shield that withstands attack after attack until the enemy has no more to throw. Victory is not an event. It is the fruit of a lifestyle of faithfulness. Every prayer whispered in secret, every sacrifice made without recognition, every moment of obedience that nobody else sees. These are the seeds of victory. Over time, those seeds grow into testimonies, into breakthroughs, into miracles. The faithful chosen one may not see results instantly, but they know that every step of obedience is carrying them closer to the promise. Faithfulness is the bridge between the calling and the fulfillment, between the prophecy and the manifestation, between the battle and the triumph. The power of faithfulness is that it does not require ideal conditions. Anyone can be faithful when life is easy, when doors are open, when applause is loud. True faithfulness is tested in silence, when prayers seem unanswered, when no one notices the effort, when progress feels invisible. That is when the chosen must decide whether they walk by sight or by faith. Victory comes to those who keep walking even when they do not see the finish line, who keep sowing even when the soil looks dry, who keep believing even when nothing changes. This is the kind of faithfulness that heaven rewards, the kind that turns valleys into mountains and deserts into rivers. Faithfulness is also what qualifies the chosen for greater responsibility. God entrusts more to the one who has proven faithful with little. The victories of tomorrow are hidden in the faithfulness of today. Every small act of consistency, every choice to remain loyal, every decision to put God first when distractions call becomes the preparation for battles ahead. And when those battles arrive, the faithful are already armed, already ready, already tested. Faithfulness becomes the reason they can stand when others fall, the reason they win when others quit, the reason they finish the race with the crown still on their head.